All right, welcome everybody. Oh, for some reason it's not connected. Let's make sure I get that connected. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the VectorVest live stream. My name is Patrick France, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Glad to be with you all. For some reason it got disconnected, so I had to plug back in the cord. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to the Stock Advisory mobile app coaching session every single Thursday. We go live both here on Facebook and over on YouTube, where we talk about the VectorVest Stock Advisory and show you how easy it is to manage your portfolio in a matter of seconds, all from the comfort of your own device, wherever you're at on the go. If you guys can hear me out there, let me make sure that you guys can see everything. The video's coming through for you. The audio's coming through for you. Just let me know down in the comments there or in the chat. Make sure we have confirmation of that, and we'll go ahead and jump right into it this morning. Hey there, Shock. Hut Mining, Hut coming in, looking at that. Yes, sir. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Wesley. Awesome. Appreciate that, guys. Welcome, everybody. Hey there, Michael. Hopefully you're doing well. So for anybody who's just tuning in for the very first time, to give you guys a little bit of insight on what this is. So every single Thursday, we go live here, both once again on Facebook and on YouTube, where we talk about the VectorVest Stock Advisory app and show you how easy it is to manage your portfolio in a matter of seconds. As always, we start off by taking a look at what's going on in the market. Then we'll jump into our topic of discussion. And then as always, if you have stocks that you want to see analyzed, make sure to stick around towards the very end and we'll analyze those stocks in less than 10 seconds. We'll show you how easy it is to analyze any stock out there, whether you're familiar with it or not, on the go, right from the comfort of your own device. Coming in, John, I'll answer some questions here in a second. Let's get started here, and then we'll dive into the questions and get all that taken care of as well. All right, so if you enjoyed today's stream, as always, make sure to share this with all your friends, share this with all your family, smash that like button if you haven't already. And if you're not already on the YouTube side of things, make sure to head over to the YouTube page, subscribe over there. Also, hit that thumbs up button as well. All that helps me out and continues to grow this awesome community there. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's take a look at what's going on here today, and then we'll dive into our discussion. All right, so as always, we start off at the very top center where we're looking at the market timing gauge. And as we can see right now, we are one tick into the green. Therefore, the market is mildly bullish, and VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price at this time. If we scroll down a little bit, we get to the color guard, which really gives us a breakdown of what we just saw in that gauge. So we see three components that we focus on here to get an idea on the overall timing of the market. The first indicator we look at is the VectorVest composite. The VectorVest composite is cast on a scale, the price of the VectorVest composite is an arithmetic indexed average of about 9,000 stocks that we track in the US market. And we feel this gives us a better representation on what's actually occurring in the market, because it's not just looking at the Dow's 30 or the Nasdaq's 100 or the S&P's 500, but it's looking at a total of 9,000 stocks. So this gives us a true representation on what's actually occurring in the overall market. The second indicator is the RT, or relative timing. Now the relative timing is cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and above 1 would show that the short-term trend of the market is up, below 1, short-term trend of the market is down. So right now the RT is at 1.04, therefore the short-term trend of the market is still up. And then the third indicator we look at is the buy to sell ratio, or BSR. The BSR is looking at the number of buy-rated stocks in the database, the number of sell-rated stocks in the database, and we look at the two compared to one another to get an idea on the overall health of the market. So at a level of 2.09, that shows we have about twice as many stocks with a buy rating currently in the database to sell-rated stocks in the database, which shows overall market strength. Let's see. This is Glenn Tompkins and Alicia Keys would sing "This Market is on Fire." Yeah, unfortunately, that I'll leave the singing up to Glenn there, Jay. Only go hood trade made based on Thursday live video recommendation lessons. Appreciate that, Jose. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about hood here in a little bit. We'll analyze it all together. Also, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Keaton, David, Mark again, another Mark, Liddy, Enderpaul. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Also, before we jump into it, now that I see we have some people here, I appreciate all the donos from last week. But I will say for this week, if you plan on doing that, hold off. Wait till next Tuesday. I'll make the announcement now. I was going to wait till closer to the end. But next Tuesday, we're going to be starting a brand new fundraising event over on our YouTube channel, where we're going to be raising money to buy toys, Nintendo Switches, gaming systems. We'll video that content where Glenn and I will go and actually purchase this stuff and deliver it to children's hospitals, or maybe a children's foundation like Toys for Tots. Not really sure which one we're going to be donating to yet. Maybe we'll let you guys decide. Who knows? But the event starts next Tuesday over on the VectorVest YouTube channel, and it'll start at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So for the next 4 weeks or the next month, every Tuesday and Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, I will be going live over on our YouTube channel, where I'll be trading. I'll do some live trading, answer any of your guys' questions with you, or questions for you, analyze your stocks, maybe give you some tips and tricks. So it's going to just be more of an open forum, just hanging out, trading, talking with one another. So save those donations for that event, because that will be way more important, in my personal opinion, than doing it for today. So I will just say that. And yeah, on that note, let's go ahead, continue back into the market. So as we see, we talked about the price, we talked about the RT, we talked about the BSR. The average of these indicators, or the trends of these indicators, are comprised to come up with the MTI, or the market timing indicator. The MTI is looking at the underlying trend of the market, and it's cast on a scale of 0 to 2. Above 1 would show the underlying trend of the market is up, and below 1 would show that the underlying trend of the market is down. So with an MTI reading of 1.49, that does show that the underlying trend of the market is up. Now, as I always like to point out, whenever we get closer to certain levels, with the MTI, there's key levels that we always want to take note of. And that is on the upper range of 1.5 to 1.6 tends to show that the market is looking for a top, or getting into that top heavy level. As we know, with any overbought, oversold indicator, we can stay in those overbought and oversold conditions for quite some time. So we're getting close to that level. We could stay in it for a while. Just make sure that you pay attention to that and keep a closer eye on your positions as we get it closer to these overbought territories in the market. And then after the MTI, we then get the trend column, which shows two parts of the trend each and every day. Now, the first part is looking at what we call the primary wave, which is simply the weekly or short-term trend in the market. As we can see, it's up since the price of VectorVest Composite's higher than it was 5 trading days earlier. The second part of the trend is looking at the underlying trend, or the MTI. Since the MTI is above 1, the underlying trend in the market is also up. And then last but not least, we finish off with the calls column, which stands for our confirmed calls. Our confirmed calls are our most conservative timing system here at VectorVest, and they're our last signal we get to get in and our last signal we get to get out. So as you can see, we still remain in that confirmed up situation as of today. Now, as always, every single Thursday, and if you're by yourself or trading on your own, this is something you want to do on a daily basis. If you're looking to buy a stock, we like to scroll down, take a look at the advanced and declines. What we want to see with the advanced and declines is a 2-to-1 ratio. So if the market's moving higher, we want to see twice as many stocks moving up than moving down. And if the market's moving lower, we want to see twice as many stocks declining than advancing. Right now, we're about 1-to-1, or pretty close to a 1-to-1 rate. So therefore, we don't have a really strong bias to the upside here today. So if you're wanting to buy a stock, maybe today might not be the best day. Maybe we'll just sit on our hands, be patient, or wait for the conditions to improve a little bit. Midas is like a swing trade chart. So Antonio, we'll get into that in just one moment. All right, as always though, we do like to finish up here on the homepage looking at the major market indices. The Dow is down about 0.2%. Nasdaq, no surprise, leading the markets higher, up about 0.8%. S&P's up 0.4%. VectorVest Composite also up just shy of 0.4%. So with that, let's go ahead, take a look at the Midas Touch stocks. So Midas Touch is a methodology that VectorVest has created many years ago, and it originally started as a long-term layout that we used to use for gold and silver stocks. Well, over the years, we've found that we can shorten that time frame and apply it to other stocks, and helps us identify some great swing trading candidates that have a nice consistent upward pattern to help you guys find less risky, more consistent swing trade candidates. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the premium watch list here. We're going to take a look at Midas Touch stocks here today. So also, I will preface this, the Midas Touch watch list is a premium watch list. So if you're on just the mobile and you don't see this access, make sure to give our support a call or go into the App Store and look at your subscription level. This does require the premium version of the mobile subscription. All right. So all of these stocks are going to be in nice, consistent uptrends, and that's what you want to do. When you buy a stock, you want it to continue to go up. Well, these stocks have already proven themselves that they are in a nice, steady uptrend, giving you more consistency and putting the probabilities more in your favor of having a successful trade. So, as we can see, whenever you look at this list, the default sort will automatically be VST, standing for value, safety, and timing. This is the VectorVest master indicator when we analyze any stock out there. And so therefore, it'll automatically bring the best performers to the top and the worst performers to the bottom. Well, in the Midas Touch, there's not going to be too many bad performers. I'll just say that before we jump in and take a look at them. And so therefore, if you're looking for more prudent stocks or more aggressive stocks, as always, when we click and we go into the stock and we analyze the information down at the bottom, we can get a sense of what type of stock it is. So for ARCB, as we talked about last week, we analyzed the 4 indicators at the bottom. Well, all 4 indicators are above the level of 1, so therefore it is a prudent stock. It has really strong short-term momentum, and the overall stock is favorable here. Let's go take a look at the graph. This is over a 3-month basis. We'll just maximize it here, and you can see a nice steady rise from bottom left to upper right. What about a 6-month chart? 6-month chart had a little bit of a pullback right around the summer months, but since that point, ever since we had that higher low, let's say you wanted to go off the higher low here on the middle or the end of July, or even the higher low here if you're waiting for a little bit more consistency on the 20th of August. Well, since that point, it's gone up substantially and it's had a nice, consistent, steady rise in price. Therefore, these are the stocks we're looking to see. Hey there, Michael. Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in here today. So, Antonio, going back to your question, Midas is like a swing trade chart. So Midas Touch is a basket of stocks that we automatically filter. A long time ago, before when Midas Touch stocks first came out, we had a whole entire layout inside the VectorVest 7 software, not the mobile app, but the actual desktop software. And you would have to go through and manually filter them out or cherry pick them yourself. Well, luckily VectorVest has streamlined that process, and we have it where every single day this gets updated, this list gets updated, and make sure that all these stocks that are in here meet that pattern, so that way you don't have to go and look for them yourself. You can find them all right here for you. Hey there, Reef. Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for being here today. All right, so I'm not going to get into the layout too much. If you want to, we can. If you guys are interested in learning more about the Midas Touch layout, by all means, I'd be glad to go over that. But VectorVest is all about keeping it simple, and the simpler we can make it, the easier it is for you guys out there. So just know that we've done the analysis. We've done thousands and thousands and thousands of tests to show that this layout proves to find more consistent uptrending stocks that you can use for swing trading. So here, ARCB, nice steady rise. Looking at the earnings per share over the 6 month, also steadily rising. And as we say time and time again, earnings is the engine that drives stock prices higher. So if the earnings are steadily rising, you can expect the price of the stock to continue to follow that pattern as well. Ravi is coming in. Are there different classes of prudent investors? Schaefer will not consider ARCB for his prudent portfolio as the RT is over 1.7. So are you talking about Todd Schaefer? That may be, there's not really different classes, but with an RT of 2.0, that's as high as it can possibly go. That shows a really strong short-term uptrend, especially with this most recent run that you've seen over the last 3 days. So maybe he's just, seeing that and saying, okay, that's moving a little bit too much for his personal choice or his personal preference. So he may just be moving on. That is the great thing about this list. You can find multiple different stocks. So we can just move on to the next one. FANG. FANG has been one of the top VST stocks for quite some time. We look at the analysis as great long-term potential, less risk associated with it, and a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock is favorable. Maybe when he's looking at the stocks, if he sees a higher RT above 1.7, he says, okay, that may be a little bit too, that may have a little bit too much momentum for his liking, maybe a little bit too much volatility in it. So maybe he passes on it. That's his choice. Everybody's different. What he may like, what he may not like, I may like, and vice versa. When is the best time to buy into a stock for long hold? Tyler, that is based on the market timing we look at the very beginning. Looking for the best time to buy for a long-term hold is going to be based off of that confirmed up signal, or if you're looking for a little bit more aggressive entry for a long-term hold, that first green light after a confirmed down signal. But market timing will dictate when that opportunity to buy is, not the individual stock. So Joel, Glenn I'm just reading your question right now. Glenn should be covering the DEW in the nightly color guard report. That's typical. We cover the DEW every single night. So if it wasn't being covered, let me know. I'd be glad to bring that up after today's session there for you. All right. So FANG looking really good, has some really strong momentum. Let's look at the graph. You can see it had a really strong run coming into the end of September, and then took a little bit of consolidation period here over the last week or two, kind of settled in. That's fine. That's what you have to have. After a big leg up, you want to see consolidation or the stock take a breather. That shows that it can, hold its own at those levels. Those levels are sound. People are comfortable with that stock at those levels, and therefore gives it more upside potential after you have that consolidation kind of settles in, and then it starts to make that next leg higher. So what we're looking for, if you haven't already got into FANG, or if you're new to this, what we're looking for is a breakout out of that consolidation. Right now, we try to break out today, but we seem to be pulling back a little bit for the time being. So we want to see not only the stock crossing above the previous high there, but we also want to see follow through that next day for that more prudent entry point. And right now, we're not quite seeing that. We're still seeing it inside that consolidation or that sideways channel that we're looking at right now. Let's go take a look at the next one. Mara. So Mara is more of an aggressive one here. Still has that same pattern, so a great swing trade candidate. But if you're more aggressive, looking for a little bit more movement, this could be a decent opportunity to look at. Has great long-term potential, but being aggressive has a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. Looking at that RT of 1.92, really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock's definitely favorable. Kind of like what's going on with Bitcoin. Yeah, being a Bitcoin adjacent stock, yes. It is very similar to Bitcoin. There's a lot of great ways to gain exposure to Bitcoin without having to buy the coin or the crypto itself. I did a video recently about a new IPO company, SDIG or Stronghold Digital Mining. It released a week or two ago, and so far it's done extremely well. What they do is they take waste or coal waste from old abandoned coal mines, and they clean that out and use the energy that they gain from burning all of that, and turn it into a fertilizer, but also use that energy to mine for their crypto as well. So I did a video on it over on our YouTube channel, Tony, about a week or two ago. If you're interested in finding out more about it, definitely go check that out there. Joel says he mentioned the signal, but not shown the graph the last 2 days. Seeing this position MTI around the 30-day moving average. Yeah, I'll make sure I talk to him as soon as he gets in and bring that up there. Yeah, there you go, Jay. Jay knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, SDIG has been an extremely strong performer. Had 22% gain on, I think it was, today's Thursday, so 2 days ago. Tuesday, it had a 22% gain alone. So yeah, out of the crypto adjacent stocks, definitely one of my favorite right now. But Mara's been around for a while. More people are familiar with it, and obviously it's a really strong performer here. Looking at Tesla. Who doesn't love Tesla? Tesla's made a lot of people a lot of money recently, and Tesla continues to climb, defying all gravity here. So Tesla, more of a prudent stock. You have great long-term potential. You have less risk associated with it because you have a strong balance sheet. You have a really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, this stock is definitely favorable. One thing I will say, I mentioned it, I believe, in the Jockey Club a few days ago, is Tesla is possibly one of the most overvalued stocks out there right now. And it's had this great run. So I'm not gonna tell you no, but at the same time, be careful, make your money, but be careful of some sort of a pullback, because that is almost a parabolic climb. And what goes up that fast can come down that fast as well. And the pullback on this could definitely catch a lot of people off guard. So just be careful if you are holding Tesla. It's a great stock. They continue to defy every single doubter out there, continues to move higher. Just be careful and make sure that, if you are getting in at this stage at the $1,200 range, that you're keeping an eye on it closer and you're making sure that you're moving your stops up to lock in as much profit as possible. All right, looking at the next one, Wire. Wire's been a phenomenal performer. You've had a great run over the last couple of days, and now you're starting to see that consolidation. We talked about it just a few moments ago with another one, but now you're starting to see that sideways move. Seeing, this gives us insight into investors' mindsets, if you will. When you see that sideways move at 140, you're basically seeing investors digesting this information, looking at that price and seeing if they can justify Wire, for example, being at that $140 price range. If it stays in consolidation for a while, that shows that people are comfortable with that price range on the stock. And then once you break out, that's that next leg up higher there. So overall, though, on a 3-month chart, this stock looks phenomenal here. Been holding Tesla since the past 2 years. Yeah, Tesla's been a phenomenal performer there. SAIA. So this has been one that, has been in the top VectorVest list for quite some time, multiple different lists. If we go back and take a look at the analysis of it, it's a prudent stock. You have great long-term potential. You have less risk associated with it. You have a really nice, strong short-term uptrend. Overall, this stock is definitely favorable. It's come in as some of our safest stocks with buy ratings as well. So, it's come in as a very safe stock over the years. And now, as we go take a look at the graph, you can see it gapped up and it's continuing to run. If we go to a 1-year look back, this is what I talk about a lot in the Jockey Club. You have a nice steady rise in price, and then all of a sudden the stock gaps up to a new 1-year high. This is a pattern called a green line breakout. I originally found it many years ago from a blog by Dr. Wish, drwishblog.org, or his name is Dr. Wish, or wishingwealthblog.org, I think is the blog itself. But it's a pattern that, I've found consistently time and time again. And seeing that here and seeing the continuation with it definitely is a very strong sign for what's to come. Wait until it's back into the yellow. So Graham, stick around to the very end. I'll analyze the stock once again, and then I'll talk about, looking at some potential exits depending on technicals or depending on what you're looking for there. Obviously, I can't give specific advice because I don't know, entry, cost amount, portfolio size. There's a lot of questions that you need or you need to answer before I could give oh yeah, this would be what you wanted to use. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time here today for that, but I can definitely give some general guidance there for you. I added TX to my retirement portfolio today. Nicely done, Michael. All right, let's see. Still hoping that ruler stocks watch list will be added someday. Yeah, I agree. I've got it on the list there. Just being patient for it. All right, but we do have a lot of new improvements coming to the mobile app very, very soon. So hopefully that will be one of them. I can't give any spoilers, but know that there are a lot of improvements coming to the mobile app to make the experience even better. All right, so SAIA is looking pretty good. Let's go back. Sat on that graph for too long. Let's go here. Oh, wrong one, not Profit Locker. There we go. Re-sign back in. Yeah, Debbie, I'd be glad to look at UPST. Just make sure to stick around. I'll analyze any stock that you guys want to take a look at right after we finish talking about these Midas touch stocks here. All right, so getting back into Midas touch stocks. We've looked at all these. All of these stocks look phenomenal. We can keep going down the list. Here's another prudent one. Really strong upside potential over the next 1 to 3 years. Still great safety or less risk than the average stock out there, but not as much as we've seen with some of the other ones, but really strong short-term momentum. ARC Resources, more of a aggressive stock with a slightly better safety rating than the average stock out there, but really strong momentum. And you can see we can go through all of these, and looking just at the 1-year graph at the top, you can see that nice steady rise from bottom left to upper right. These are the types of stocks, especially if you're going to be swing trading, that you're looking for. You're looking for stocks that have already been exhibiting nice steady rises in price. And then when you combine the power of the Midas touch layout, you know that they have that short-term momentum for now that you can jump on board with, therefore putting the probabilities in your favor. How do we benefit? How do we benefit from what are you talking about, Arif? How do we read these for cyclical exit? So these have nothing, Graham. These aren't going to be related to cyclical stocks. These are just momentum stocks at any given time. As I stated earlier, this list will update every single evening for you with any changes there. So these aren't really going to be based on cyclical stocks. These are going to just be based on strong performing momentum plays for a swing trader. We've done some, cyclical talks before. We have some videos on it that you can go back and rewatch, but these aren't really going to be focused on cyclical, movements there. The Profit Locker. I'm not getting into the Profit Locker today, Arif. Don't worry, not getting into that. It can benefit you. I did a whole segment when we came out with the Profit Locker Pro mobile app, but I'm not getting into that here today. All right, so there we go. We can go down the list. We can keep going down the list. Huge list with a lot of great potential candidates here. Obviously, different strokes for different folks. So if you're looking to, get the most out of it, you can spend some time going over this list and identify the ones that look best for you. As always, I will preface that anytime you're spending more than 10 to 15 seconds looking at the graph of a stock, most likely you're trying to find a reason to buy it rather than having the stock sell itself to you. And with over 9,000 stocks out there, there's no need to settle on a particular one or no need to try to, justify buying it if it doesn't sell itself to you. Jim's talking about, I like sorting the Midas touch by CI2. I learned so much. Appreciate that, Jim. Yeah, and that's the great thing about it. If you're more of a conservative investor, but you're more focused on safety rather than long-term potential, you can resort this list. You already know it's a great basket of stocks by any one of our key indicators here. So if you're focused on, more safety involved with the stocks, use the RS sort. ODFL, SAIA, as we talked about a little bit ago, Home Depot, Lowe's, a lot of big names coming in here. If you're looking for momentum plays, use the RT function. You get ARCB, SI, UU, and a few other ones here. If you're looking, what Jim was talking about is CI. So if you're not familiar with CI is the stock's ability to withstand severe lengthy price declines. Essentially, it's more of a technical indicator. and it's looking for stocks. I like to call it the snapback factor. So stocks that have a pullback but have a strong CI tend to rebound and come back to a new high very, very quickly. So it's a great, powerful indicator that can only be found here at VectorVest. Appreciate that, Mark. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Interested in any suggestion for growth dividend stocks? So Sully, growth dividend stocks. As we talked about a few weeks ago, let's go into the premium or stock pick ideas. And dividend stocks are going to be under the retirement category. You can find them right there. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and start to analyze some stocks. I'll get some questions. I see a lot of questions being asked today. I'll answer some of those questions, and let's go ahead and start to analyze your stocks. So if you have stocks that you want to see analyzed, start putting them in the comments, also in the chat there if you're over on YouTube. And while you're doing that, make sure to hit that like button, share this out with all your friends and family. That way we can continue to grow this awesome group. While we're doing that, let's get back to some of these questions that people were asking. Forecast for Sundial. We can take a look at Sundial here. Jim is asking, Charles River Labs was in there before and went down 40 today or yesterday. Give me the symbol there, Charles. We can take a look at that. What is the difference between CI and RS? Great question there, Javier. So CI is the stock's ability to withstand severe lengthy price decline. So it's more of a technical based indicator. RS is relative safety. It's more of a fundamental indicator, looking for consistency in their fundamentals or consistency in their earnings performances. So two very, very different indicators. One's looking at price action, one's looking at balance sheets. But when you combine the two, they can be extremely powerful there. All right. So getting into our magnifying glass in the upper right, we did have one question earlier. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. ARCB talking about exit strategies. So before I even take a look at the graph, as always, we like to, follow the rule of plan your trade and trade your plan. Before you ever get into a stock, you should always know what your exit plan is going to be. Whether it be certain stop criteria, whether it be a gain loss percentage, whether it be a trailing stop, technical analysis, what have you. But just looking at it right now, it's steadily moving higher. It's rocking and rolling. You have a really nice, strong short-term uptrend. You could use a combination of moving averages, a short-term moving average and a longer-term moving average. You could use some technical analysis such as RSI or stochastics for overbought, oversold. Or you could look at, let's say, DPO momentum indicators, see if you notice any sort of divergences there. We've talked about those quite a lot over the years. And right now, the price action is hitting a new high. DPO, which is a momentum indicator, is hitting a new high. So that's giving confirmation to that new high. And therefore, things are looking pretty good. So, exit strategy depends on when you got in, depends on a lot of different things. But just from the looks of it, hopefully those kind of ideas will give you some insight onto what you should be looking at going forward with it. All right. Let's see. RRD. Sure, Michael, we'd be glad to take a look at it. RRD. All right. RRD has good long-term potential, but it does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Under $10 stock, no surprise to see an RS below 1. Look at that timing, though. 2.0. Basically, the stock's moving parabolic recently. Overall, it's a favorable stock, but it does have a lot of high momentum behind it. You can see it gapped up, so that's why you see that strong RT. Has good long-term potential. Now, this I will point out. Something that I talk about quite a lot is reading candlesticks and understanding what they're telling us. When you see that gap up, great. The stock's moving higher. One of the key tips to keep an eye on is put a trend line or put a line in the sand. If you bought in yesterday after that gap up, put a line in the sand at the low of that gap up candle. So the low was, let's see where that was. 888. So at 888, that's our line in the sand. If it closes below that and gets follow through the next day, probability tells us that that gap will fill and that there's a 90% chance we're going to see it retest that 640 level before we notice any sort of upside coming in. So keep that in mind. Follow that on a short-term basis. Let that be a good guide for knowing where to cut your loss before you sit through a 30% roughly, pullback as it fills that gap. Let's see. NVDA. NVDA, great long-term potential, less risk associated with it, really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock's definitely favorable here, up 9% today alone. BITF, good long-term potential, but does have more risk associated with it. You're in a really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock's definitely favorable. CRL. All right, so this one has great long-term potential. You have strong, consistent fundamentals. However, you do have an RT dropping below 1. Stock fell sharply yesterday. What was the news? Where was that? Anybody got news on this one? Most likely, I would bet it would be an earnings miss, or they may have made earnings, but they may have said one wrong word in their forecast going forward, or they may have not outperformed their earnings as much as analysts were expecting them to. Any of that can cause the stock to drop like this. If it is an earnings play, be very, very careful with earnings. Earnings are one of the most risky moves you could possibly do. Expecting the stock to move a certain way up or down, that is, you're basically betting flipping a coin on an earnings play like that. So if it is something related to earnings, that will be most likely what you're seeing. Richard's asking, can you say what you're looking at when you say great long-term potential? Still don't understand what each of those things on the bottom line or the bottom are. Yeah, Richard, I'd be glad to. I meant to. I usually do that, so let's do that on the next one. All right, where are we at? Let me get back up here. What is the best factor to see before buying a stock? The RT depends on what type of investor you are there, Antonio. I've talked about it many times. You can go back and watch some of the videos talking about investor profiles or investor sentiment. But if you're a momentum player, yeah, RT. If you're long-term buy and hold, RS. If you're an aggressive trader, RV. All right, so Alex is coming in with DE. Let's go pull up DE and we'll answer that question for you. So these 4 indicators at the very bottom are cast on a scale of 0 to 2. Above 1 is good, below 1 is bad. That's as hard as you need to make it. So the first one we come to is the RV, or relative value. This is looking at the long-term potential of the stock over the next 1 to 3 years compared to a AAA corporate bond. Now, if you really want to get technical with it, which I typically try to stay away from, but I'll do it just for right now to give you insight into it. But when you see an RV of 1.66, that shows that we expect to see Deere outperform a AAA corporate bond by 66% over the next 1 to 3 years. So therefore, that tells us if you put money into a AAA corporate bond or a relatively safe investment or here, you would expect to see a better return in here than you would that AAA corporate bond. So this is that long-term potential that I keep talking about. The next one is the RS, or relative safety. This is looking at the consistency and the predictability of a company's financial performance. The simple way of looking at it is it's an indicator of risk. So at 1.19, it's above the level of 1. Therefore, it tells us this stock has good long-term or less risk associated with it, or good fundamentals associated with it. Then you get to the timing. With Deere, it's at 0.86, which is below the level of 1. RT is looking at that short-term price trend of the stock. Cast on a scale of 0 to 2, above 1 shows the short-term trend of the stock is up. Below 1, the short-term trend of the stock is down. Also, not only does it show an up or downward movement, but it indicates the momentum behind that movement. So on a scaling of 0 to 2, above 1 the closer to 2 it is, the stronger the uptrend. Below 1 the closer to 0 it is, the stronger the downtrend. So at 0.86, it is in a steady decline to the downside right now. So overall, the stock is favorable. It has good long-term potential. It has less risk associated with it, but the timing is off. The timing tells us it's in a steady decline. Therefore, good fundamentals, just not the right time to be holding into it. Once you own a stock, the most important indicator you need to focus on as an individual investor is that RT rating. If you're owning this stock, fundamentals have nothing to do with it at that point because you've already got it into your portfolio. At that point, the biggest factor you need to be aware of is whether or not that stock is making you money or losing you money, and that's exactly what the RT can tell you. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully that helps you out there with that one. Okay, let's get back into it. So LEU, good long-term potential. A little bit more risk associated with that long-term potential, however. You have a really strong short-term uptrend, so overall, stock is definitely favorable. OCGN, good long-term potential, but does have a lot of risk associated with it. You are in a steady decline currently. Overall, the stock is not favorable. FB, Facebook, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. However, not the right time to be long in it. Overall, good stock, just not the right time for it. Even the best stocks go down sometimes. Even the best stocks have pullbacks. That's the market for you, folks. Nothing goes up in a straight line forever. That's what causes that risk factor in the market. So even the best stocks can have some down periods. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. If you like the stock though, just make sure that when you see that RT start picking back up, that's when you keep it on your radar and maybe add it back to your portfolio. You know, don't sit through the downturns. Wait for or buy the upturns. Wait for that timing to start breaking down. Take your profit. Wait for it to reset and then jump back in. Compounded rate of return right there for you. BCE, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Timing at 0.96, it's flat to slightly down here. Overall, the stock's about average right now. All right. Let's get back over here. CNTY. Century Casinos, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. Timing, still in a slight short-term uptrend below that level of 1.1, which is my personal threshold. But that's something you definitely want to be keeping an eye on right now. Overall, good stock, but the timing is definitely something that's bringing some caution flags currently. Exrof, EXROF. Poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, but hey, first time in quite some time, we are seeing that RT turn back above 1. This is a very speculative stock. It's a very low dollar stock, so it's in its infancy stages still. You are speculating of what this stock will do in the future. But seeing that RT finally breaking above the level of 1 for the first time in quite some time is definitely a sight for sore eyes. I personally like the stock. I hold the stock. I've held it for a while. Overall, the stock is not favorable because that RT is not strong enough to offset the poor fundamentals. But if you've been following along with it, you know what's going on behind the scenes with it. All right, LCIF. Oh, did I fat finger that one? LCIF. Oh, LCID. There we go. Lucid. Okay. So poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with this one. So another speculative play here. Timing at 1.75, an extremely strong short-term uptrend. Overall, that momentum is outweighing the poor fundamentals, so therefore the stock is favorable. Let's see, MTG, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it, but price movement is essentially flat, slightly lower. Overall, it's a good stock, but timing is definitely throwing up a caution flag. Apps, let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You have a slight uptrend. Overall, the stock is a good stock, but that timing is definitely something that we need to be cautious with here. Let's see. IPI, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, good stock. VRTV. Good long-term potential, about average amount of risk associated with it. You're in a really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable. QCOM, great long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. You are in a steady uptrend. Overall, stock's favorable here. Green is good. I agree, Mark. Green is definitely good. GME, let's go ahead and pull that up. See how it's doing right now. Hey, turned around a little bit. Up percent finally. Looking at the fundamentals though, it is a speculative play. I think we can all agree out there that any quote unquote meme stock, or what I like to call heavily manipulated stock, is definitely going to be a speculative bet right now. Betting on how much manipulation there actually is currently behind the scenes. Looking at it though, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk. Fundamental indicators for GameStop have been poor. The company hasn't been doing well up until just recently when they got Ryan Cohen on the board. They started making some changes, which we still have yet to see the official announcements for. But overall, the momentum at 1.6, really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock's definitely favorable. Man, that movement to 250 yesterday definitely got me excited. Let's see. Crocs, CROX. Crocs, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. Really nice, steady, consistent uptrend. Overall, definitely a favorable pick. CRL lowered its sales growth projections. There you go. So whoever was asking about that earlier, CRL lowered its sales growth projections. When you come out saying, oh, we're doing really good right now, our fundamentals for the last however long have been really strong, but going forward, we may not make as much money as we were expecting to. That's going to scare investors. That's going to scare analysts. And yes, you will see that stock drop. So nobody can predict that. That's something that, nothing out there can predict. If somebody tells you they could have predicted that, my best advice to you is turn around and run the other way as fast as you can. IBM, sure, we can look at IBM. IBM has good long-term potential, a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. It's in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is not favorable here. RVP, great long-term potential, less risk associated with it. However, the timing is not there. 0.59, the stock is in a strong decline right now. Good stock, good long-term potential. It is just not the right time. Unfortunately, that's how the market works. PERI, let's go take a look. Good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it though. You have a really nice, strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable here. Glenn, unfortunately, I'm not in the Canadian market, so I can't look at those right now. Sundial, okay, SNDL, about average long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. No surprise, it's in a industry that still has federal bans against it. So there is a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady decline right now, so overall the stock is not favorable. So yeah, that's the analysis. Poor long-term potential. Well, actually, let's go back. Let's do a little bit more of a breakdown for you, because you did wait for a while, and I appreciate you sticking around. So poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. Let's see what the value is. The value is 54 cents. Based on all the current fundamental data out there right now, this stock should only be worth about 54 cents. It's trading at 65, so it's slightly overvalued, but still not moving in the right direction. PROG. Poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, so it's a speculative play. I think we can all agree upon that. You do have a slight uptrend currently, so unfortunately not enough to offset the amount of risk involved with it. Therefore, the stock overall is not favorable, but does have some momentum building up behind it. Can you use this for day trading and short-term trades? Yes, Richard. So the mobile app is going to always be on a 15-minute delay unless you're on the real time for the desktop, and then you get real time in the mobile app. But if you're on real time on the desktop, I would strongly recommend to take a look at the VectorVest Jockey Club every Tuesday. Because of Jay, you can see him here in the chat. He's coined the phrase that every Tuesday is Day Trading Tuesday when I host the Jockey Club myself. Unfortunately, I will not be there this coming Tuesday because I have some personal matters I have to take care of in the morning before our stream. But yeah, we do a lot of day trading in the Jockey Club there. All right, UPST. This is the one that guy came on TV and said he really likes it. It's a great stock. It's making money. And when asked what they do, he had no clue. So because of that, it makes me a little hesitant with it. I know a lot of people are making money. If you're making money with it, great. But this stock has poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated, or a little bit more risk than the average stock associated with it. You do have that short-term uptrend. Overall, because of that momentum, it's a favorable stock, but I'd be extremely careful with this one. Also, I just noticed just by taking a quick look, you essentially have a head and shoulders pattern on this stock. So there's your left shoulder right there. There's your head. There's your right shoulder forming. You would have to make a slightly inclined neckline. If it breaks that neckline, be very, very careful. All right. F, looking at forward, good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it. You have really strong short-term momentum behind it. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable here. All right, we'll do a couple more, then we'll start wrapping it up for the day. Cassandra, thank you. Appreciate that. Welcome. Glad you're here. Thank you for the exit. Perfect. Glad that helped out, Graham. All right, so we'll do two more. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Hey, Don, glad to see you here. ENPH, Enphase, great or good long-term potential, less risk associated with it, really strong short-term momentum. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable. Then we'll do one more over from YouTube. We'll do Avis, so CAR. Avis, good long-term potential, solid fundamentals, really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable. All right, so on that note, once again, if you're tuning in late, thank you for tuning in first and foremost. But next Tuesday and Wednesday, and the next Tuesday and Wednesday throughout the next month up until December 10th, I will be over on the VectorVest YouTube page where we're doing a fundraiser to raise money for less fortunate kids out there that, either maybe going through, into children's hospital or some children's donation center like Toys for Tots. But we will be raising money for the next month to make this holiday season coming up even better for the kids out there. So thank you all for not doing the donations today. I greatly appreciate it. Save those for next week. If you wanted to donate, save those for next week. Make sure to head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the notifications so you get updates on when we have new content coming out. But we'll be doing live trading. Hey, thank you for that. I appreciate that there, Glenn. Thank you. But we will be doing live trading. If you have questions on certain stocks like you see here, if you guys enjoy seeing the stocks being analyzed, head over there, hang out with us. I'll analyze your stocks. We'll cover some tips on how to improve your investing. But it's going to be a great time for the next month. So make sure to tell all your friends about it. Tell all your family about it. Try to get as many people there as possible because, it's really something special to me as a father. It's something that means a lot. And I've wanted to do something like this for quite some time. And luckily I finally got VectorVest on board to put up money, to don't or make a donation for every new subscriber over on our YouTube channel. So once again, it'll be next Tuesday and Wednesday starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And we'll be going every single week up until December 10th. And once we reach those goals, you'll see a lot of videos coming out of us going and getting the toys, delivering them, and all of that. So it's going to be a really fun event. I'm looking forward to this. I will give you guys more information if you're interested in it. Just join us on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern starting next week, and I will be glad to go over in more detail about what we got planned for you guys. Also, we're going to be doing live giveaways every single stream for the next month, so you won't want to miss out on that as well. All right, so on that note, let's take a look at what the market is doing. Right now, we are one tick into the green still. The market is mildly bullish. VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price at this time. Scrolling down, we've lost a lot on the buy to sell ratio. The price is still green. RT is pulling back from where we started at about an hour ago. Buy to sell ratio also pulling back. Looking at the advanced declines, advances are at 38%, decliners are at 52%. We were about a 1-to-1 rate. Now we're starting to see the bears really starting to take hold. Looking at the major indices, the Dow is down still about 0.2%. So Dow really hasn't moved too much. Looking at the Nasdaq has really been selling off from those highs we noticed earlier. Now cut in half, essentially up about 0.4%. S&P is basically flat, or up about 0.2%. So reduced a lot from where we started off at the beginning of the session, but still in the green for the time being. Overall, the VectorVest composite is flat here though. All right, so on that note, I hope you all have a great rest of your trading day. If you'd like to see more content, make sure to tune in 2 p.m. Eastern. Glenn has his Trending Thursdays where he talks about what's hot, what's not, what's making the news, and how that impacts your investments. So until next time, take care, adios, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern over on the VectorVest YouTube channel. Take care, everybody, and have a great weekend.